Welcome, bet riders around the world. My name is Gary Solomon, and you're watching the Laid Back Bike Report. It is great to have you all with us today. Let me tell you what we have lined up for you on today's show. We're going to kick it off, as usual, with Honza's news report. The Recumbent news will be coming your way. He's got lots of interesting things to tell you. And we'll have a couple little items to add extra to the news this month. Then sticking with Honza, as many of you know, Trey and I were in Europe in May, and we had the opportunity to go to the Czech Republic and, among other things, visit AZUB. And Honza gave us a wonderful tour of their facility there and took us on a couple of great bike and trike rides in some lovely areas. So we're excited to share that with you. A couple weekends ago, I was up in Michigan for the Waterford HPV racing. Met up with Dennis Grelk and Mike Mowett, and just had a wonderful time there watching the amazing racers there, some setting records. I think you'll really enjoy the race video and the interviews that we have covering that. Then Marshall actually is back on a separate interview concerning CycleCon 23. Yep, that's coming up here in September this year. So he's going to give you just a quick intro and tell us what's coming up at CycleCon. And then we have a really interesting interview where Josef Janning met up with Ruben Schütze, who is a young German velomobile rider who just achieved a new 24-hour world HPV record last weekend. So very nice young man. I think you'll like that interview as well. But first, let's have a look at who is here helping me today. Josef Janning is one of them. There he is from Germany. Josef, hi. It's great to have you here today.
A pleasure to be with you, Gary.
Super. And there's Honza Galla. He's a busy guy. He's been doing a lot of traveling lately as well, but we're excited to have Honza with us today. Hi, Honza.
Hi, great to be here.
Okay. And down in Raymond, Mississippi, there is Trey Burgoyne, the media dude himself. Trey, I'm glad you're here.
Glad to be here, folks. Howdy.
Okay. And lastly, but not leastly, it's Larry Seidman out in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Larry's doing the directing today. Hi, Larry.
Hi, mouse is working good, ready to go.
All right, good. Let's kick it off here by talking about our live chat. If you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, we have a live chat going. So feel free to make comments, ask questions of our guests. Most of the people that you're going to see in the interviews today are on live chat, so you can ask questions. They should be there to respond. And please let us know where you're watching from. We always like to get that information from you. All right, now how can you support the Laid Back Bike Report? If you like what you see and what we do, please help us out. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to us right here on the YouTube channel. That helps us out. And there's a little white eye that'll pop up there. It'll take you to the Laid Back Bike Report website, where you can find lots more information about us, including how you can become a Patreon supporter. This is a great way to help out the Laid Back Bike Report. You can do so for as little as $1 a month. So check it out there on our website or on patreon.com. Now, we also get some help from amazing sponsors of this show. Let me tell you who they are right now. First of all, we have TerraCycle, makers of exquisite recumbent parts and accessories for your bent. Don't just trike, adventure trike. TerraCycle's racks and bags are like having a personal Sherpa, but without the questionable ethics. And Trailside Trikes, a fine recumbent trike shop on the Withlacoochee Trail in Florida and in Knoxville, Tennessee. And TerraTrike Green Speed, the best in leisure, performance, adventure, touring, electric, and portability. Wherever your adventure leads, TerraTrike will take you there. And Green Speed, where Ian Sims designs bring performance through science and engineering. And Laid Back Cycles, the top USA dealer for TerraTrike and the premier source for Catrike, Ice, and Green Speed. We give you the freedom to ride. And Avenue Trikes, with the gearing you need and the comfort you want, it's time to enjoy riding again. They're in stock, ready to ship in only $19.95. Dealer inquiries are welcome. And AZUB, if you decided to get that new recumbent bike or trike, the time is now. You don't have to wait weeks for a quality bike that's customized to your needs. AZUB has a selection of its best-selling models and configurations in stock. Head over to azub.eu and simply choose the model you want, add your preferred accessories, and your bike or trike will be at your dealer in just a few days. And Recumbent PDX. With a 150 trike inventory, Recumbent PDX is the West Coast's only cat trike megastore. We have over 20 trikes on our showroom floor just waiting for you to test ride through our beautiful Portland neighborhood. Call or email to schedule your test ride today. And EcoCycles, leaders in electric assist and customer support, with a line of specialized conversion kits to retrofit just about any bent model out there. Check them out at cycles.eco right now. All right, guys, so let's move on to the show and talk about some recumbent news. Who better to share that with us than our own Honza Galla? Let's take a look, Larry.
Hi guys, Honza Galla from Recumbent.news here once again with a report from the world of recumbent bikes. So let's jump into it. The first news is that the long-awaited Shimano Q's is finally available. What does it mean, Shimano Q's? It is a group set from Shimano that will replace, in the future, it will replace all the Altus, Alivio, Acera, and Diore, I guess, group sets. It will offer 2x9, 2x10, 2x11, and 1x as well drivetrains. You will have a free option to change, later from 9-speed to 11-speed, because the cassettes, or basically not the cassettes, of course, they are not the same, but the distances between the sprockets on the cassette are the same, the chains are the same, and the derailleurs are the same. The recumbent world was mostly interested in the Di2 version of it. That's an electronic version, and it is the first derailleur system which has an automatic shifting. Of course, there are other automatic shifting options like the Enviolo automatic or the Shimano Nexus 5E, let's say, but the range is limited. So what the Q's offers is standard something like 11 to 46 teeth on the cassette, or you can have even 11 to 51, I guess, with some Link Glide white cassettes. So AZUB was the first to offer it. Right after it, HP Velotechnik has it available as well, so you can order this system as well. I wrote it briefly. It works fine. It's kind of nice, and for a price of roughly 200 to 300 euros US dollars, you get a very easy system, which is which is durable and is electronic, and the electronic is then it's useful with mainly with the e-assist engines, because the electronics is then charged by the main battery. The other news is that Maria Parker launched her new book, or her book called Do Tough. It's an inspirational book from, as I mentioned, Maria Parker, the CEO of Cruise Bike. She talks about how she dealt with the loss of her sister, how she dealt with racing the race across America, one of the toughest races on earth, and also how she is running a successful business. So it is now available on Kindle. You can buy it as a paperback already, and there is an audio version coming soon. Another news is a bit sad. We lost one of the pioneers of recumbents and recumbent manufacturers in the US. Dick Ryan has passed away on June 20. He was co-owner of the FOMAC company that produced Avatar 2000 long wheelbase recumbent at the beginning of 80s. Then, but it was not really a successful business, so he bought the rights and started his own business called Ryan Recumbents, and was much more successful with building roughly 2,000 something one guards, long wheelbase recumbents, also duplex tandems, which was the first really produced recumbent tandem, and they built also some Delta Trikes. So that was in the 80s and 90s. And yeah, as I mentioned, Dick passed away last month. And then much more happy and interesting news is the record-breaking weekend, which world records were broken. So it's Matthias Koenig did 6 hours record with his 388.2 kilometers, which is 241.2 miles, with an average speed of 64.7 kilometers an hour, or 40.2 miles per hour, which is an amazing speed. That was in Velomobile NL, Snook Velomobile. Then Melchior Poppe did 463 kilometers, or 287.7 miles in 12 hours on his unfaired recumbent. So that's a 12-hour record. And while riding that, he broke also 6-hour record for unfaired recumbents. That is now set on 255.6 kilometers, or 158.8 miles. Finally, Ruben Schütze, a young 26 years old German guy, broke the 24 hours world 24 hours record, and set a distance of 1,256 kilometers, or say 780.4 miles, averaging 52.3 kilometers per hour, or 32.5 miles per hour, which is an amazing speed. Also, that's after 14 years this record was broken. You will watch the interview with Ruben during this laid back bike report. So he will tell you more. But this event in west of Germany was organized by Holger Seidel. He was aiming for the 24 hours record as well. He basically broke it. He did 1,225 kilometers, or say 761.2 miles, but he was a bit slower than Ruben, and so Ruben's record will be listed and recorded in the future. So this is it for the moment, and enjoy the rest of the Laidback Bike Report, and you can read also in-depth articles about the news I told you I reported about on recumbent.news. So yeah, have a nice show, and see you later. Bye.
All right. So, Honza, great. That was really all interesting stuff. A great lead into our Joseph's interview with Ruben, which we're going to have towards the end of the show. That was interesting stuff. Did you want to, I posted that message. Did you want to make that, talk about that correction to what you had said about the cues?
Yeah, well, I just I realized that I set the prices to 300 euros or USD, which is not really true. It's an upcharge or surcharge to a standard mechanical derailleur system you would have. So the total cost is, it's up to the manufacturer, but the surcharge is roughly to 300 euros or US dollars.
Okay, fair enough. Great. Now, what we wanted to talk about next on the news update is something that just happened yesterday. We had talked last month about Nicholas Bosselman, another young German velomobile rider who was on the Trans-American race. Turns out he just finished yesterday. So let's have a look at that picture, first of all. Let's start there. There was the picture of him, I think, back in Germany on the left. And then that amazing picture on the right, him at the monument in Maryland at the finish of the Trans-America ride yesterday. And that picture was supplied to us by John Sprock. We thank him for that. And I did have a chance to congratulate Nicholas, as you can see from the Facebook message right above the pictures there. And he said it was a great ride. He learned a lot. We will have Nicholas on the show probably next month. We're going to have a chance to talk with him. I think you'll be interested in a lot of what he has to say on that epic journey across the country. Now, Larry, you did have a chance to catch up with him, I guess you would say, while he was in Colorado. Let me show a little bit of that video that you shot. And just tell me briefly about what that was like while I do that.
Yeah, I just got up in the morning and looked at the dot tracker that he was in Pueblo, got in my van and drove down to Pueblo, checked the dot tracker again. He was heading east of Pueblo. So I just kept driving out there, pulling over on the side of these little 2-lane highways, country roads kind of out in the eastern plains, and finally saw him, pulled over, got my phone out a couple of times and captured some video clips.
Very, very nice. So yeah, that was something that I posted on Facebook in the middle of the month. So we're excited to talk to Nicholas. Congratulations again to him on that very hard trip across the country. And we look forward to talk to him soon. All right, now let's go on to our main segments. We're going to start off with that amazing trip I told you about in the opening that Trey and I did with our wives to AZUB in the Czech Republic. Honza was as gracious a host as we could ask for. Shot some video, of course. I think it's a good time to take a look at that now. Laurie, let's go.
Guys, we are here with my pal Honza Galla from AZUB, and we are in the Czech Republic on site. And Honza, thanks for inviting us here.
You're welcome. Hi, guys. Welcome to AZUB.
Great. And we are really fortunate to have Honza as a tour guide. He's going to take us around inside. We're going to show you guys everything. Well, maybe not everything, but most everything that goes on in AZUB. So, Honza, shall we head on in?
Yes, come in.
Let's do it. All right, Honza, tell us a little bit about the building and this showroom that we're in.
Okay, so AZUB was founded by Aleš Zemánek in 2000. Then we were in 2 different other locations. And in 2018, we moved here, or we basically built this facility. It's our first own property. And yeah, it's a 2 stories building. We have the advantage that we can approach it both stories from by car from the ground level, let's say. And we have everything we need here for building recumbents, hopefully the best ones in the world.
So maybe we'll start the tour here in the showroom. Can you tell us a few things about what's in here?
Yeah, so in the showroom are, of course, our bikes and trikes. We don't have so many visits from our customers because, of course, for most of the Europe, we are kind of at the end. But anyway, we have the nice selection here, especially after the Spezi show. So there are quite some bikes here. You can also see some other products like trailers and bags from Ortlieb and folding bikes there, because another part of the AZUB business in the Czech Republic and Slovakia is the distribution ship. So we are a distributor of few pretty famous brands like Tern folding bikes and cargo bikes, Ortlieb bags, Burley trailers. So we distribute them in the Czech Republic and Slovakia, which also gives us, I see it as a big advantage after all those years, because we have the inspiration in the high quality brands and in all the different topics like economics, also design, some ideas. So it's very good also for the recumbent part of the business, which is at the end the main one.
Sure. So you not only sell these, distribute them, so you learn from these products and can apply that to what you do in terms of manufacturing. Yeah?
And from the companies mainly, how they are running, the organization, the ideas.
Marketing,
also we have all the stories from behind the scene, kind of, so that's very good for us.
Yeah, okay. And then we have a bit of a wall of history here.
Yeah. So I think it's a second edition. We had one at the old building in the old facility as well. So we have, some interesting people coming, like you, but you are not yet there, or Matt Gallat or Rich Hackett, our ambassador as well, who has done 250,000 kilometers on our bikes in the last 8 or 10 years, and other adventurers or reporters or so they can sign here or let us few things here. It's a nice place. It kind of fade off, so we still have enough room for everybody, So.
So what's next then here?
So I will try to show you, or I will show you how we are assembling the bikes here, because we don't have any real machining here. Not a painting shop, not a CNC machine, nothing like that. So we received the frames. Still, the production is in the Czech Republic mostly, and the parts, and then we can show it to you how it's all happening here.
Let's see what's happening upstairs.
We are in the warehouse at the moment. I am always surprised that it's pretty small, because we have parts mostly for, let's say, 3-4 months, and there are some parts for a year, very few parts for more than a year. And those are kind of little parts, so it fits to the warehouse pretty easily. So these are the parts. We have some seats there. Most of the what you can see is also parts of the Shimano motors for the recumbents. So then we have rims, and I would like to show you also where and how we store the frames. Yeah, frames are, you can see some frames here, but we work almost like the car factories, so just in time delivery. So most of the frames we received, they are partly like finished here, and then it goes directly to the paint shop. And so here are only the parts that are produced in larger volumes, like racks or seats or so. But the main frames of the trikes usually go straight to the paint shop when we receive them.
Where is the paint shop?
Paint shop is the next village, basically.
Okay.
So like 5 kilometers or 8, something like that. Pretty close. Same for some welding or, CNC machining. We have the companies in close proximity, let's say. So, yeah, that's pretty... we like that we have it on hand. We are in a room where we receive the frames from the paint shop. So here the guys usually, they check the quality of the finish of the paint. If it's obviously not good enough for our production, they go to be unpainted and repainted again. If there are any doubts, they have the sales guys coming, deciding whether it's good or not. And if everything is okay, they go to the shelf. Most of the time, again, we already know who is the customer, or we know the order. So we know that this or that frame in that particular color goes to particular order, let's say. We also have here a storage of all the powders for the paint shop, because we are kind of the owner of the powders. The paint shop does only the painting. So all the selection, of course, because we offer also the color shop, so you can choose any color. I think we have like 15 standard colors, and then unlimited, basically, RAL colors.
So, Honza, we have shopping carts filled with parts. What is this?
So, because we need to move the parts from downstairs to upstairs, downstairs the guys, or one guy basically, fills the shopping cart. Then we have a lift. It goes up, and we have the couple of orders here prepared bicycles. Then the big parts are stored in this shelf. So this part of the shelf is one order, basically, or one bicycle. So you have tires there, seat, parts of the frame, wheels as well. We have the wheels stored just nearby here. We have a hand lacing company about 15 kilometers away. So that's where the wheels are laced. And then when the time comes, the guys can just pick all the things, take the trolley, and they go and do the assembly.
So it looks like the workshop right behind us here.
Yeah, so we have 4 working stands, basically, 4 mechanics, then 1.5 guys making some pre-assembly and so on. At the moment, you can see only 2 guys because there is a recumbent meeting in Slovakia. So one of the mechanics is there, and another mechanic is participating to a mountain bike race, a 5-long bikepacking, basically. So now we have most of the guys are involved in cycling or recumbent cycling, which is nice as well. So we have only 2 guys here at the moment.
Thanks, guys. After everything then is assembled and pretty much ready to go, it's got to get to the customer. How's that all done?
Okay, so I should also mention that after the assembly, the difference compared to other manufacturers is that we assemble the bikes completely. So the mechanics can test ride them here inside, either in the hall, or if there is something not really perfect, they can take it for a spin outside as well. And because it is completely assembled, it takes a little bit more time to disassemble it than for shipping. So we have the packaging area here. Basically, either we ship in the Europe, which is ground shipping, so we can have larger boxes, and it takes about 2 hours to pack the Trike bike. Or we ship overseas, which must be much smaller box. Then we usually use 2 boxes, and it takes, say, 3, 4, 5, even 5 hours for the packaging, to pack it properly. After all those years, we have come up with a solution that we really pack the Trike and bike as much as we can, which sounds and looks a bit awkward at the moment because it's a lot of plastic, but it saves the planet in the way that we don't need to ship the damaged parts here and there. And then usually the dealers can use it somehow later, the packaging material. And if we travel in Europe, say, we also collect it and then get it back to here to reuse it again. Okay. So we feel some responsibility, but this is basically the best way until now and the best balance we have found.
So we are upstairs in the offices section here at AZUB, and Honza has brought out the Ripley's Believe It or Not section of unusual items. Tell us, what are some of these crazy things?
You have found it. So these are some from our customers. So for example, this one was a front rack for a Trike. So you have a boom here and then pedals here, obviously. So you need to have some room here, and then the guy could load the front part as well. So this was built he built it for the Sun Trip, for the first edition in 2013. So that's one part. Then another customer bought a second-hand, I believe, AZUB Max that had a bamboo rack, home built. So he was like, I would like to order an original one, and he sent us this one. He sent it to us. So this is a bamboo rack for our recumbents. And nice. 70 teeth chain ring for a Trike I used during the Sun Trip in 2013, because it had a 20-inch rear wheel. And with the help of sun, you can just cruise in very low cadence sometimes. So this is what we have used. And the last one is a tire from a tandem we bought in Greece, I believe, with my wife. It was a front wheel 20-inch tire that then got damaged here, and I had to repair it. So I used this style. It also has a lot of patches underneath, so the rope does not damage the tube. And we used that for at least 100 kilometers. It was like wobbly ride, but that's what you can do as well.
That's some fine work. Do you make your own clothes as well, or?
No, but when I was a kid, I was making some clothes for the little toys and so on.
Yeah, it shows you know what you're doing.
Climbing gear mostly.
Okay. So maybe you can let us have a little closer look at some of the parts that you have or that may be of interest.
Okay, so there are a lot of nice parts, but we can choose. For example, here we have the folding hinge, which at AZUB, we don't have a folding hinge part of the frame itself. It's like an optional accessory, basically. So here it is, a very nice piece of CNC machine, metal or aluminum, and some anodizing stuff. Or I can show you parts for the builds, which we have basically 3 different levels of builds you can have. So we either build the Trikes mostly for our stocks, so you can pick one of them and have it delivered pretty quickly. Or we have what we call an advanced level. So that's our standard builds. So you choose the configuration in the configurator, then we build it. It takes about 6 weeks. And that's our standard range of options and accessories. And then we have something what we call an epic level of our builds, or epic builds. And that's when either the customer have a very special need, so we have the knowledge, so we can fill his requirements, or it's often a former cyclist, a good one, and they want to have very special, some very unique components which we normally don't offer. So we have a shelf with such parts.
Hans, let's take a look at those special items you wanted to talk about.
Okay, so we have, for example,
No, that's good.
That's fine.
Hansa can also juggle, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
You've seen it for the first time.
Like nice carbon forks for the Max 700. So road carbon forks here. Then we have quite often we do the XT or DI2, so electronic shifting real delayers, which is nice, especially and a bit surprisingly for customers with some disability, because standard shifters are hard to operate or more difficult. So this is just a little electronic button. So this is nice as well. Pretty often we combine it, especially with the motors, with the cassettes of this crazy size, which are now common in the cycling industry. So this is 10 to 11. I think it's 11 to 51. Or we have some nice ones with red anodizing inside as well, which are a bit smaller. So yeah, all those nice stuff which we have for the customers that want really customized bikes. Red pedals, some special grips, together with the color shop, the special colors we can do for them. Then the bikes are nice, as you could see at the Spezi show.
All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap us up here for the tour of AZUB. And Honza, I can't thank you enough for taking the time, being so gracious to us at the Laid Back Bike Report, showing us all the amazing things you do here at AZUB. So thanks a lot, pal. It's great seeing you.
Thank you for coming such a big distance from the Spezi show. Thank you for your time. And I would like to ask you to become a part of our Wall of Fame. So
what an honor that would be. Maybe we can do it with a Laid Back Bike Report hat?
Sounds nice.
All right, let's do it.
Here are some pens for you.
Okay.
Yep.
And
write
then,
us something there.
Oh, boy. All right, so thanks, Honza. That's great. The hat goes up?
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you for that. And I will add your head here. Oops.
Permanent. That's gonna. That's fine. That's whatever. Okay, thanks a lot.
That didn't look staged at all, did it? I think that looked pretty natural. Thanks again, Honza. We had the greatest time. Trey and I just loved that tour. Let's first of all have a question from Jim Pratt, who was with us at CycleCon. How are you doing, Jim? Wants to know, we talked about you farming off some of those services to other local businesses for paint shop, and you talked about the CNC machine and the other things that you had fairly locally or regionally. Any thoughts of bringing any of that stuff in-house, Jim would like to know?
Yeah, the paint shop. this is basically in plan already, or it is a running project at the moment. We thought we would, during the COVID time, there was a really a big peak in the cycling industry, a lot of demand. So we thought we would build a new hall, like warehouse, next to this one where we are right now. But we expected that the demand won't stay so high for an unlimited time, so we kind of postponed it and had to find a new place or solve it a bit differently with the paint shop. But painting is at the moment the most complicated part of the production, and we are really into having our own one soon, probably middle of next year.
Okay, that's interesting to hear. Trey, so you were behind the camera the whole time looking at all that stuff. Really didn't get a chance to talk to you about that. What was the highlight of Honza's tour as far as you saw?
Oh, I liked it all. First, I'd like to thank Honza. Him and AZUB, that was awesome. They loaned us bikes and trikes to ride, and he guided us on several rides, and it was fantastic. Really enjoyed that. And he's got a wonderful family. We had a really great time, my wife and I, and we really appreciate it. So I want to say that first. But as far as the factory goes, I have a shop here at the home. So I guess the part that really, I like the way his assembly shop was organized. You can tell the mechanics have pride in their work. They have the tools organized, everything arranged and very neat and efficient. So I guess for me, that was the part I enjoyed.
Good. Yeah, we had a couple comments about how impressed people were with seeing the organization of everything that you had, all the frames and the accessories and everything so nicely put together. I guess you got to do that, or you're not going to be able to find things and get it out efficiently. So, all right, Honza. I guess Trey alluded there to what else we did while we were with you in the Czech Republic, and that was had a couple amazing rides that you led for us, which were really something that we'll never forget. So I put together just a short, it's a music video of some of the riding that we did with you. So maybe we'll take a look at that right now. Larry, let's take a look. That was not the last train to Clarksville, ladies and gentlemen. It was just the commuter train passing us by. So again, thanks so much to Honza. Folks, I'm going to ask if anybody notices who the other guy was on that ride with us, riding the high racing recumbent. Put it in the comments. We will see if anybody can come up with who that was. It is a recumbent celebrity that you might know, and we'll check that out at the end of the show, see if anybody comes up with that. But for now, we're going to move on to the next segment, and that is the racing at Waterford that we went to a couple of weeks ago. And we covered. Thanks so much to Mike Mowett and Dennis Grelk, who put this on. And I just want to let you know, as we start taking a look at the interviews and some of the, especially some of the racetrack video, you're going to hear a lot of banging sounds. There was a gun range that is right next to the track. So it's just part of what goes on there, but that's what that was about. So to kick this off, there were a couple of very short interviews I did at the track during the races. The first one is our pal Marshall Randall, who took his Green Speed Aero to race and did very well there in the first race. And John Simon, a guy that you're going to enjoy meeting briefly here, with an unusual classic streamliner that he raced there. So Larry, let's have a look at those two.
So guys, here at Waterford Hills in Michigan with my buddy Marshall Randall, who just got done with an hour race. Marshall, how did it go?
Gary, it went really well. It was pretty cool. You know, obviously first time out here doing this, new experience, but man, people are awesome. The racing was awesome. Yeah, it was cool.
All right, so describe the course, if you would, to us, Marshall.
Yeah, so it's got one really nice straightaway, you know, right here at the start-finish. But it's a pretty tight course. I mean, there's sections that going through the curves were probably down to, I don't know, 12, 15 miles an hour. There's one climb that, boy, people were really struggling on. Everybody, you know, crawling up at maybe 10 miles an hour. But then the flip side, the cool part, yeah, you get to come down to 30 miles an hour. So that's the fun part. A lot of turns, but still the speeds were really, really fast for overall times.
And a mile and a quarter, did you say that?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, 1.4 miles all the way around.
Oh, 1.4 miles.
Yeah.
It's not a mile and a quarter.
Yeah, but
no wonder my math was wrong. Okay. All right, so what sort of human-powered vehicle did you do this in?
So today I used my regular old steed, I'll call it, the Green Speed Aero. Pretty stock wheels, stock tires. You know, the only thing I do is just some clipless pedals. My favorite ride.
And how did you do? I understand you were the champion in some manner.
So yeah, before the race, I looked up on Recumbent.com. They keep track of all the records at all the various tracks that they hold these events on. And best I could tell, about 10 years ago, somebody averaged just over 20 miles an hour for the hour event, and I think I averaged over 23 today. So good day.
Excellent. It was a good day. So yeah. You coming back next year?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
But wait.
Yes.
Are you going to be here?
Of course.
Oh, then I'll be here.
Now I'm committed. Thank you, Marshall.
You bet.
All right.
Thanks, Gary.
I'm John Simon, Portland, Michigan. I've owned it since 1988, but Terry Reno of Indianapolis, Indiana, built it for the speed record. DuPont put up $15,000 for the first person to break 65 miles an hour.
And when was this?
This was in 1985, and actually an Olympic rider, Carl Sundquist, had it up to about 60 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that, I think, is still the record at sea level. You know, everybody else at Battle Mountain's up at altitude. Nobody tries anymore at sea level because they can't get that high with the wind resistance.
And how did you do here today at Waterford? You've been riding it for a lot of years now.
Yeah, since 1988. This is my 36th year riding it. So yeah, it's fun.
Good for you.
Need to get in a little better shape, but It's fun. It's fun, especially on this track.
Right.
It does have a landing gear, so I can get in and out of it myself instead of having a holder. That's what that is. This rubber band shuts that up, and that way I don't need a holder. Pull this back over center
And down the landing gear comes.
yeah, we ride it on the road. I got a flag for it.
I'm faster on that.
Oh, that's awesome. I love these.
Still pretty practical, and it still goes pretty fast for 40 years old.
So John Simon just personifies the dedication and how much fun these guys have, not only racing, but some of them building their own streamliners. It's just an incredible thing to observe. So now we're going to get into more details of the racing, a wider look at it with two of the principals of the race, Mike Mowett and Dennis Grelk. So Larry, let's have a look. All right, guys, we are here with two notable figures from a recent human-powered vehicle race in Michigan near Detroit. We have Mike Mowett and we have Dennis Grelk. Guys, welcome to Laid Back Bike Report.
Thanks, Gary.
All right, so there we go. The human-powered. Wait, go ahead and pull that up again. Yeah, the Michigan Human Powered Vehicle Association. So we're going to get to that, Mike. I'm going to ask you right now, actually, about the history of the Waterford races. So let's take that step back and tell us a little bit about what the beginnings of the race were. I know it has quite a heritage. Tell us about it.
Well, the Michigan Human Powered Vehicle Group started in, I believe, 1986 with Mike Eliason, who was there this past weekend. He's kind of the co-organizer still of the event after all these years. Mike Eliason and Terry Gerwick got a club together. They used to race down at Monroe County College. In 1987, I believe, we started at the Waterford Hills Raceway. The event, we believe, is the oldest continuous human-powered vehicle event in the world. We've done some research. There's groups in Australia, in Europe that have hosted events over the years, but none of them has had a continuously running event for now going on 37 years. So we're kind of proud of that.
Excellent. Yeah. And maybe to catch us up a little bit, Dennis, tell us a little bit about your history with this event. How long have you been coming?
I started racing in 2005, and I think I made that first year in 2005. So I've been coming to the race every year since then. All
right, let's talk about the course itself then. This is a car racing course, as I understand it, and you guys use it as a bicycle racing course. Tell us about the course itself. Mike, let's start with you.
The course is 1.4 miles around. That's I was doing the math this weekend. I think it's about 2.2 kilometers. It has 9 turns. It has one hill about 30 feet tall that seems to get taller every lap, as we joke. It was recently repaved during the time of COVID, so they took out some of the bumps and some of the ridges that caused some flat tires before. The track is a car racing club. They can use it only like 2 weekends a month for car racing. So the other 2 weekends are available for like rental of car racing. Bicycle racing. There's some other local riding clubs that also use the track for training on like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights.
All right, very nice. And Dennis, anything you have to add to that?
The repavement was really a huge thing on that course. It is definitely my favorite course of the season because it is a road course track with hills and corners and hairpins, and it's definitely the most technically challenging course of our series. Plus, it's the only course. Well, that's not true now. We've always been able to camp at this track, so the community, since we have 2 days of racing, the community aspect has always been much greater at this race than a lot of the other ones because we all just kind of hang out after the races and peek out on what we've been building all winter long, since it's typically our season opener.
All right. Let's get into a technical detail that probably many people are not familiar with. And I know specifically Mike revels in this, and it's the timing system. So as best you can, describe the way you measure these things.
On our endurance races, our lap races, and our timed event races, like the hour-long, we have a transponder system that has, the transponders are, I can't tell you exactly what the technology is, but it's got a little battery in it. Tag hangs on your bike, either tape it on or stick it on your scooter or whatever. And then there's a set of timing wires that get placed across the track. And every time you go across that set of timing wires, it triggers a hit. So you have to go out and measure your track to know what the distance is. And we've been doing this long enough. I've got all the distances in the timing system. I just pull up the distance for whatever race we're doing, enter everybody's transponders in there, and then every time you go across it triggers. So that's our long races. Now the sprint races, a lot of those are done off of a pressure tape. So those results are all written down manually and then entered into our spreadsheet afterwards. And the same works for the kilo. That's a pressure tape race, and kilo and sprints. That's mostly what we have throughout the series.
This system that Dennis just described, it runs perfectly, right? You never have any problems with it.
Dennis was out there trying to set a record, which he did, and the transponder readings were actually, I think, as the battery was going low, I was watching the monitor and I saw it was missing some of his laps as he went by at 32 miles per hour. I didn't have the heart to flag him down and say, Dennis, stop, we're not getting records. But so we used his Strava reading after the race. Yeah, this past year, my coworker built a duplicate system off of Warren Beauchamp's plans. Warren was the guy who built, I know he's been on the show many times, he built the original stopwatch timer. He designed the electronic circuitry, so we owe him a huge thanks for his work.
Tell us about Warren's vehicle.
I actually have multiple of Warren's vehicles. So when Warren built the Cuda W, he sold me the original Barracuda. Since I'm I'm 6'4", I don't fit in any of the other streamliners, and the market for streamliners for ultra tall people is relatively small. So I ended up with the original Cuda, and I raced the crap out of that for what's it been, 16 years or something. And then Warren had some heart arrhythmia problems, and the Cuda W sat for a few years not being raced, and he wanted it to be raced, so he sold me the Cuda W, and now I'm trying to figure out how to race that one. So this weekend at Waterford was my first real time in the bike at speed. I mean, I did a couple test rides prior, but then it was mostly me trying to learn how to ride the bike during the race, which it's similar but very different than the original Cuda. I mean, it's front wheel drive instead of rear wheel drive, and just way faster. So all the corners were faster. So, yeah.
Good. Well, you raced two bikes, Dennis, then at the race, but let's get back to that. I just wanted to mention Warren there. So, okay, that's going to bring us to the individual events. Mike, let's get back to you if we could on this one. Why don't we start with Saturday morning, if you would, and let's go from there.
Saturday morning, we usually start out with a 1 hour time trial. So riders ride as many laps around the track as they can. Since we call it a 1 hour time trial, drafting usually isn't allowed. It's pretty easy to do on a track that's 1.4 miles around. People kind of spread out. We only have maybe 15, 20 people on the track at most at a time. So the way we do it there, the way we've always done it, is we ask people to ride 60 plus minutes. Basically, at the end of 60 minutes, we bring out the checkered flag. So if it takes you 61 minutes to come back around and finish the last lap you're on, Then we take your total number of laps divided by, say, 61 minutes, and we figure out your average speed, and the furthest distance wins. That's the event we've been doing for a long time at Waterford, so we have some pretty good records of it going all the way back to the 1990s. I remember doing like 18 miles in 1 hour in my very first Waterford, and I had a little certificate on my wall from Bill Fry, and that was really an inspiration to me to kind of, come back year after year.
So, so Dennis, you actually won this race. Do you want to describe the race as you rode it?
I don't know how much y'all know about the HPRA series, but we break it down by basically the amount of fairing that you have on the bike equals different categories. So this has changed a little bit over the years, but there is a stock class, which is basically, it used to be called unfaired. Well, it used to be called stock, but it was considered unfaired. And that has changed where we have allowed a tail fairing or a nose fairing. So that was a separate category, but now that's all kind of in stock. And then the streamliner category is completely faired, and the streetliner category is also completely faired, but you can either put your feet down or stand up in the bike without moving a piece of fairing. So streetliner would be like Velomobiles. Streamliner is fully enclosed streamliner. And then stock is pretty much everything else almost. So this particular race that we're talking about would be the stock race. And so I have a tail faired low racer. It's a dual 700C front wheel drive. And I've been tweaking on this bike. I built it in 2006, and I've modified it every year to make it faster and faster and faster. It started out as a dual 451 front wheel drive low racer, and now it is a dual 700C front wheel drive tail faired low racer with a splitter. And we've been chasing Frank Geyer's record on this course. He set this record in 2003 on a Jester at like 27 mile an hour, like 27 and a half mile an hour, which is insane because that bike is not anywhere close to as fast as what we're racing now. But somehow he did that. And I've been chasing that record the whole time I've been racing this track. So I finally have my bike fast enough and I trained enough that I managed to get this record at, we averaged 28.688, I believe, which is amazingly fast for a stock bike. So Jonathan is also a super power rider. He's been training super hard with under the supervision of Tom Ollinger, who's kind of his coach. And Tom keeps tweaking his bikes for him, trying to make them faster. And I guess he's been tearing up all the local time trial series with that no-com. He came into this race with a higher FTP rating than I had, and I hadn't raced anybody, so I had no idea where I was going to end up. He kept with me for just a little bit, and then I just started walking away from him he said he had about a 10-mile training base, and I come from an ultra distance road background, so I've got plenty of base. Just a matter of me training before the season starts, not just building all the way up to the start of the season.
You came in with 28.623 miles, and Jonathan 28.207. So very close. And then coming in third is John Simon on that crazy Moby Red Streamliner. Right. And we had a little talk with John. We got an interview here, and we can see that. But John did real well at 27.51. So, and then you mentioned Tom Ollinger, who has a training program with a number of guys that he rides with, and he did come in fourth at 25.49.
We also have the university students who show up, and university students are basically there to get time in their vehicles because they don't get a whole lot of ride time. And so when they show up, they're just doing whatever in each race, and you never consistently have one rider in the bike the whole time. So they're switching out bikes and whatever, and it makes for kind of a zoo. But that's how John ended up in the first race, is he wasn't sure we had enough riders to do two. And in the last couple of years, we've had low numbers, and so we've ended up combining races. But since I had this shiny new streamliner, I wanted to race both.
Can you describe the top three in the second time trial race?
The second time trial was Of course, I was out there in the Cuda W, and then Jeff Hahn was out there in a DF XL, which is he's pretty quick in his Velomobile. And then the rest was all University of Toronto kids, and had 2 different streamliners and a speed machine recumbent. Well, that's not right. There's three streamliners. They had all 3 streamliners out there in the speed machine that they were cycling on and off. So, I was out there trying to learn how to take all the corners really fast in a bike that I just started riding, and then Jeff was doing his thing in his DF, and University of Toronto kids, depending upon who was riding, were either riding in a straight line or zigzagging across the road. But I didn't see any of them fall down, so that's good.
You have an event called the Hill Climb
/ Coast Down.
Coast Down, right. So, Mike, let's give you a chance here. Tell us about this event, if you would.
Basically, competitors line up one by one. They ride as fast as they can up the hill. Once over the top of the hill, they start coasting. So they stop pedaling and they coast as far as they can go. This is a unique event we've ran at Waterford for probably 30 years. And it's kind of a 2-part event, because if you're a faster, more streamlined bike, chances are you're typically more heavier. You got more mass to push up that hill with your streamlined fairing. However, you're going to roll a lot farther than somebody on a non-faired bike, and this is the case that we see every year. Sometimes all the unfaired bikes, make it around the first turn at the end of the straightaway, and they get caught on a little slight uphill rise, whereas some of the streamliners just keep on rolling for another half mile or 3/4 of a mile around the track. We've always scored it as 2 separate events, so it's kind of a high value event for the weekend, because you get points in the hill climb and then you get points in the coast down. One thing we noticed this year was University of Toronto. They didn't really care too much about the actual coast down. A few of them made markings on the track for how far they coasted, but a lot of the riders just went up and down the hill multiple times and trying to beat their old time or a teammate's time, or trying out their different vehicles. So it was nice to see that, because we like to see people challenging the records. Unfortunately, we don't have really good records of the furthest coasting, because that would require somebody walking around with a wheel or measuring wheel. Dennis, we believe, set the furthest coasting record this year in probably both the Cuda W Streamliner and on his stock bike.
Yeah, let's break it down. So you've described it nicely. So first of all, let's talk about this is one ride at a time for this event, but it's broken down into the 2 categories: the hill climb, where they go up the hill, and then as soon as they reach the top, there's the coast down, and then that's the second part of the event. And you do these separately. So let's talk about the hill climb first.
Jonathan Walters won in the stock category. University of Toronto won in the streamliner category. I had the second fastest time in the stock on my upright bike. The hill is about 28 feet tall, and we have a 600-foot run up. And comparing the start and stop points over the years, we may have, there may have been differences in the starting and stopping points over the years by anywhere between 6 feet and say 20 feet. I have notes from Bill Fry that he used in the past. It was a little bit more complicated. He rolled off some distances from the concrete curbs on the track. We don't know if those curbs have stayed the same with the track repave, but all in all, it takes about anywhere from if you can get up the hill in under 20 seconds, you're probably winning the event. The track record now is about 18 seconds to get up the hill. I really wanted to see Bill Kong from the University of Toronto take a run with his shoes on. He went up the hill several times but not wearing his cycling shoes with cleats. He's a super strong rider. That team has built their own upright bicycle that won the ASME event. It was a time trial bike, all carbon.
And Dennis, did you want to add to this and maybe then go on to talk about the coast down and your coast down?
So the one consistent thing with the hill climb is that it always does you're climbing to the highest point. So where you start coasting, I think, is probably pretty consistent because it's always the high point of the hill. But it is interesting to see how this event affects your coast down distance, because I'm not even sure. The difference between the fastest going up the hill and the slowest going up the hill is probably definitely less than 10 mile an hour and probably less than 5 mile an hour difference between the fast guy and the slow guy. So how that affects your coast down distance, there's probably some difference, but it's not super critical apparently. So that part's interesting.
Basically, we just have every rider takes a piece of chalk, and when they stop, they get off their bike and mark the position of their front wheel.
Dennis, could you give us an idea about how far you went? I know you don't have the number of feet, but we can take a look at the track. Where did you end up, basically, from the top of that hill?
So on my stock bike, I coasted to where the streamliners normally make it to. And in the streamliner, I coasted past where the stock bike went by probably 50 foot, which is the furthest I've ever seen anybody go. There might have been a streamliner that's gone that far, and I just can't remember. There's definitely not been any stock bikes go that far. That is way, way further. But this is one of the things where this is kind of my favorite event, because every year as I tweak the bikes aerodynamically, you can see if your bike is becoming more efficient throughout the years, which every year I've gone a little further. And I've made a giant leap on this year. So the more fairing you add, the faster the wheels you put on it, the further you go, the more efficient the bike is. So my stock place ended up past the front stretch into the next corner, going up the hill around that corner, and the streamliner was basically almost to the crest of that same corner, almost to the crest of that next hill before you get back to the bottom of the start of the climb.
Where Dennis ended up was on like turn 2. It's called the Gulch turn, and that is past the main start finish straightaway, and it's probably a good mile, over a mile. From the start of the hill, and we never had anyone make it all the way back up to the base of the hill, but I guess that would be the furthest possible distance you could go.
Let's move along then to the kilo, the kilometer time trial.
The kilo is the only flat event at Waterford. It starts in the flat on the back stretch and finishes on the flat on the front stretch. So that means you get to go through the hairpin first, which you're starting basically going around the hairpin, so you're not at speed there. And then you go through the S's, and then you go around the swamp across the front stretch, which there's this little tiny grade going up the front stretch. Otherwise, it's flat. And so you're basically accelerating the entire time. And that is, Mike says the streamliners catch up, but it depends on what your streamliner weighs, because you got to get that mass moving. And getting mass moving without the aid of any sort of downhill means that you've got a lot of work to do to get it up to speed, which is why I didn't get, I got fifth in the kilo in the coup de W, because it took me the whole time to even approach getting up to speed. And the kilos they're always hard, because kilos are long enough that they're really long for a sprint, but they're too short for the endurance guys to really make waves at it. So it is kind of the ultimate sprint. Yeah, Jonathan was super fast, and on the no comp, that was almost a record, but Sean Costin did make it over here, and Sean is the best sprinter in our series. Ron Wyatt, coming out of a bunch of knee surgeries, did pretty darn good on the kilo too for second. I got third on my low racer, which 29 mile an hour average on a kilo. It's not terrible, but it's not blazing. And then Tom Ollinger's right behind me on his Raptor.
So after the racing's over Saturday, what happens? What goes on at Waterford there?
Yeah, we do have camping. We have two bathrooms. We have a shower. There's also additional showers outside the track. Uh, it's a great, beautiful setting to hang out.
We basically camp in the pit area inside the track, so it's pretty nice. There's some cement pads. There's 110 electricity at the post, so if you need to air up a mattress or plug in a camper, you can do that. And the bathroom, there's bathrooms and showers, so having showers after the races is huge. And there's shelter areas where you can stay under if it's if we get inclement weather, there is shelter that we can sit under in the rain. We haven't had that problem too often, but that does happen. And just waking up in the middle of town in kind of a park setting and a track. It's pretty amazing. There's deer and geese and turtles and all sorts of stuff out there. So, and it's also a gun range, so you got that. But
all right, so let's then now get back to the racing on Sunday morning. Since we've described every event, let's describe the sprints. Where do the racers line up, and how far do they go? What does this look like?
Yeah, for the sprints, we line up one by one at the top of the hill, so you don't have to. You can climb it up slowly, wait your turn in line, and then you get a big blast of acceleration as you take off from the top of the hill. So then you have, I think I measured it out at about a half a mile of acceleration. You come down the hill, go around the first turn. You're on that back straightaway. You're speeding, accelerating. You're looking at two sets of cones coming up. Once you get into those cones, the timer starts. Then 200 feet later, the timer ends. And then this year, I worked it out as we did in years past. You have 300 feet to slow down before you hit the turn. I was trying to give the streamliners enough distance to slow down. The track record's held by University of Toronto by Todd Reichert, who also went on to set the world record, still holds the world overall speed record out at Battle Mountain. He did 47 miles per hour one year and then 48 miles per hour the next year in their Vortex, which was again at the track this year. He said he was at the limits of his braking and his tire adhesion, trying to hold it going around that turn after he went through the traps. So yeah, it's a fun event. Dennis, you want to take it from here?
that is always the trick, is getting slowed down for that hairpin. This year I hit basically 42 mile an hour in the streamliner, and honestly, after doing the lap races and doing the hour, I was taking that hairpin at 43 or 44, so it wasn't super scary for me. But once again, I'm not a very good sprinter, so 42 is not super fast in a fully paired vehicle. Bill beat me by a little over 2 mile an hour, and Jonathan Walters went really not much slower than I did. He went 41.5 mile an hour, 200 meter. I appear to have gotten second in that sprint at 39.61 mile an hour on my low racer, which I expected to go faster, but I didn't. So it's kind of a stretch. You think the hill would have a lot of speed going into that, but the hill is far enough away from the traps that you actually have to maintain speed or start your sprint after the hill almost before you get to the traps. So.
Right. I love that. I love that phrase, Dennis, that probably a lot of racers use. I expected to go faster, but I didn't. So that's just the way that it works, I guess. Let's move along, guys, if we can, to the final two events that we talk about here, the lap races. So there's a 20-lap race and a 25-lap race, as it turns out.
We ride part of the track backwards, essentially from the other events that we've been running, and then we run part of the course in the usual direction, and we use like the two turnoffs on the track to change direction essentially. So it was a 1 kilometer loop. It was a lot of fun. Dennis set up the timing system for that.
Short course, basically what you're doing is you're going backwards through the S turns and then doing the cutoff across the track entrance road. You do that gulch turn and then go down the back. Well, what would you even call that? The stretch that goes into the hill, and then you turn off right before the hill. So this is a flat short course race, and then take another cut off, and there's a chicane corner that you got to go through. It's always the trick. It's kind of a mind bender because that cutoff comes into the track at a 90, and you got to make that turn and not either go off into the grass on the inside or the outside. So if you have traffic in that corner, you're going to get hung up. And then really the S turns are kind of tricky in the same way because people will be going from one side of the track to the other. So avoiding the traffic during the short course race is always the trick if you're trying to go really fast. But it does make it interesting. I mean, I'm happy to be doing that race again because the short course race that we did prior to this was just that front stretch. You had basically the same corner going the other direction. And that was just like a million sprint intervals instead. This way you get a little more of a open space and people spread out a little more. We did have two races at the 20 and the 25. Typically, once again, we'll break that into fairing categories. It's not always the case when you've got university kids showing up and you've got a little bit of everybody in there. But for the most part, we tried to put the unpaired people in the 20-lap race and the paired people in the 25-lap race since they're usually going a little faster. Races end up being about the same length. So that's how that breaks down for that. The 20-lap race averaged 27.721, which is that's a good bit faster than anybody's ever done the stock short course race. That's a fun race. Second place, Jonathan Walters. Jonathan was stuck to my wheel like glue until we got in some traffic and I got away from him. And I think he actually ended up going down at some point there. But otherwise, I thought he was going to get me. And then Tom Ollinger got third, and Robert Lloyd was fourth there. So all our fast guys stayed pretty close together, relatively, during the short course race. And that was definitely the closest racing I did all weekend, was just trying to stay ahead of Jonathan. 25 lap, we actually had pretty much all the paired vehicles. So that was me and John Simon and Jeff Hunt, and the University of Toronto kids were, once again, I think they only had two of their streamliners in there because they broke a pedal off. And then they had two of their unpaired bikes as well. So averaged 28.126 in the CUDA W, which that's probably the fastest that's ever been done. And John Simon averaged 26.076, which is pretty darn quick in his Moby. John has raced this course probably more than all of us, I feel like, because he is deceptively fast in that bike. Even more so before it got repaved, because he knew all the lines, and staying ahead of him was really hard just because he knew the track so well. And I mean, he's 60, somewhere in his mid 60s, and he's still cooking right along. So it's always fun to see him out there with that thing. And Jeff averaged 23.72 or 732 in his DFXL, which is also pretty good. Just getting right along considering the course and the traffic.
Okay. And we also, one of the ladies that were racing there, Claire Nolette from one of the University of Toronto, was on just the speed machine recumbent that you mentioned earlier, and she came in fourth. So good for her. She was an interesting racer as well.
Speaking of John, John was the first bike that I'd seen at Waterford in 1988 when I came to my first event. He's had that red Moby Streamliner forever. It was that same bike set the world low altitude speed record in the 1980s at the Indianapolis 500 track. It was it was in Popular Science or Popular Mechanics at the time. And then coming to Waterford and seeing that bike in person, I'm like, wow, that was a bike in Popular Science. And actually, I saw John talking with Isabel from the University of Toronto. She was doing her first race. She told me, and I was trying to get a picture of them together. I got one, like the most senior competitor with one of the new kids on the block. So she rode the Tempest or the Cyclone around in the 25 lap race. Marshall Randall, special shout out to Marshall for, he's a world record holder and everything. From like 100 kilometers through 300 kilometers on his trike. He set a new track record in the 1 hour at 23.5 miles in 1 hour, breaking the old record by a full 3 miles per hour. I think both the old and the new record were set on green speed trikes.
What's the future of Waterford racing? Do you anticipate next year? Do you have plans for growing it?
Definitely be back next year. Yeah. Every year we got to wait till about January to figure out from the track when we can, what days are available. Yeah, hope to see it grow. Definitely love when University of Toronto comes out there. It's great to see Marshall, maybe some folks from Terra Trike, Whiz Wheels out there. Maybe have a little trike competition again. We've been lacking in the trike competition in recent years. Marshall went flying by me. I have to say several times during the 1 hour. I was really, really impressed. And if there's new categories, if someone wants to, I think we can do any category except for an e-bike category. I'm not ready to do like an e-bike category because we want to keep it pure human powered.
Okay, so Waterford, there's two more events that haven't been mentioned here. In the past, we have had trike races, separate trike races on the infield of the pits. So they're zigzag back and forth. And we put those together kind of informally, depending upon how many trikes we have. But the last couple of years, we haven't had enough trikes to do it. So if we get more trike people to come out, I'll revive the trike races. And also, there's a practical vehicle event that has happened at Waterford for many years. Didn't happen this year. Basically, there's like a timed course that we do out in the pit area with bags of groceries, and then factoring in the cost of the vehicle and the maneuverability of the vehicle. And it's just something we kind of do as a fun aside thing. It's not part of the points, but it's something we also do as a practical vehicle category it's fun to play with. So this event has been basically what it is for the whole time I've been racing. And really, I don't think we need to improve on it. We just need more people to be aware of it and to come out and join us. Because, it is you couldn't ask for a nicer weekend of racing. And the social aspect of it is great. If you're interested in building bikes, it's a great place to go because you can look at bikes builds that have been built by the people that are racing them. Like, all the streamliners are built by hand. And a lot of the stock bikes are also built by hand by the people that are racing them. It's part of the fun. Because if you really want to go fast, building the bike from scratch is probably the way to do it because you're going to get your best bike fit that way. The rest of the HPR race series right now consists of a weekend of racing in Chicago at the Northbrook Velodrome on Saturday and then the Kenosha Velodrome on Sunday. That is the 29th and 30th of July. Velodrome races are their own thing. They're super action packed because you're on a lot smaller course with all the people. So it's kind of like you're out there in the start field dodging people. But it's fun, and it's definitely probably the fastest race speeds we have all year because it is a flat course in a velodrome, and it's pretty ideal surfaces usually. And then the last race of the series will be my race at Hawkeye Downs in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. That's a half-mile oval auto course, and it's always the smallest race of the year, but it's same deal. We've got camping on the track, and there's potential for great speeds there if you're in a streamlined bike. And we also have it's actually 3 tracks in one, so it's got a half-mile oval, a 3/8 oval, and then the pit lane inside all share the same front stretch. So my lap races, I have a horseshoe race where it actually turns back on itself and goes backwards on the 3/8 mile, then back around the half mile. And back in the day when I had enough trikes to race, we would do the pit lane and 3/8 mile, same sort of thing. And it made for pretty fun races. Yeah. So they're all these events are up at recumbents.com on the calendar link. And I also post them around in the forums in the racing sections. There is an HPRA Facebook group as well. Everything is also posted there. So if you're on Facebook, look for HPRA, it'll come up. Otherwise, it's in recumbents.com or Bent Rider. I think that's all the places we spread it, basically.
All right, guys, thanks a lot for talking about the human-powered vehicle racing at Waterford and some of the other racing that goes on that you guys are such great advocates for. Let me just get some final thoughts before we say goodbye. Dennis, go ahead. What do you have to say to finish up?
Anybody that's interested in going fast or seeing any sort of custom build bikes, these HPRA races are a great place to come and look for it. More than welcome to bring whatever you have. You can watch, you can race. There's a wide variety of speeds going on here, so don't feel intimidated by people that are going super fast. There's only a handful of us that are going super fast, and we'd love to see you come out.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to like University of Toronto team, to Tom Ollinger, Robert Lloyd, Jonathan Walters for coming out. You know, they've been part of a great recumbent training group for a long time. This competition really sparks, you know, new ideas, especially with the college team getting time to ride the track. And also to Dennis and everyone who just set the track records. You've spurned John Mersiglio to build a new, even faster bike. So we're going to be coming for you next year. No, going to try to. John wants to copy your bike, and so yeah, the ideas are out there now. So that's a great part about Waterford, just sharing ideas and making faster bikes.
So the future, hopefully, of human power racing, University of Toronto, that interaction with the young folks is really important. And the competition that you just talked about, spurring everyone on for faster speeds, more innovation, and lots more fun, human-powered racing. So thank you both, Dennis, Mike, so much for sharing all that with us. We wish you well, and hopefully we'll see you next year. So long, guys.
Thank you, Gary.
All right. So what you heard there, I guess the one big point about making these races more popular, Honza's got some ideas about this. You heard both Dennis and Mike talk about it. I think it really revolves around getting younger people to race and find this exciting and new. That's something always at the top of my mind as well. With that in mind, I wanted to get some thoughts from the team that you kept hearing them talk about, the University of Toronto Human Powered Design Team, which was at the Waterford race. They were at Battle Mountain. And so one of the young fellows I met at Battle Mountain with that team was Lincoln MacDonald. And so I wanted to sit down with him for a brief discussion about what they do. And I think maybe this will give us some ideas on how we can go forward with this. So Larry, let's listen to what Lincoln has to say. We are here with Lincoln MacDonald, who happens to be a student at the University of Toronto, a famed HPV design program. Lincoln, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
Very nice. Well, Lincoln, we first met actually at Battle Mountain last year. I got a chance to talk to you, interview a little bit, and it was nice to see you in Michigan last weekend at the Waterford Hills race. So you're going to talk about the team, the University of Toronto Human Powered Vehicle Design Team, of which you have been a part. Tell me a little bit about the design team and its goals.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're an entirely student-run, student worked-on organization. So we're funded through a student levy at the university, and it's anybody can join. Mostly we have engineering students, a lot of mechanical and material science focus, although our electronics team is actually growing quite quickly. But so we're a group of students, mostly engineers, undergraduate. We have some grad students as well. and we build and design human-powered vehicles. The team is mostly focused on bikes over the last decade, building a variety of different bikes for ASME competitions, for Waterford, for Kenosha, Northbrook, World Speed Challenge. We've done a lot of work there as well. And we've, our latest project we're working on is a human-powered aircraft. So we kind of dibble and dabble, I guess you could say, into a variety of different human-powered activities. But yeah, our team is about providing opportunity for budding engineers to get hands-on experience, to learn CAD tools, to understand composites, things like that. And we also want to push the boundaries of human achievement and what's possible. The team was founded on building the human-powered ornithopter, Snowbird, and later building Atlas, the helicopter, and then eventually working up to Ada and Titan and those sort of things. So we have a big passion for pushing the limits of human capability as well.
Of course, you have a storied past in racing, including Todd Reichert, who currently holds the human-powered vehicle record at 89 plus miles an hour back at Battle Mountain, yes?
Yes, indeed.
All right. And so let's, that was great. Let's focus in now on Waterford this year. What was it that you guys hoped to achieve coming to the race at Waterford?
Our team has had a lot of membership over the years, and the members have through COVID, they aged to be like grad students and in their PhDs. And so actually coming out of COVID, when I joined the team, I joined in 2021. So just out of COVID, the team was very sort of the older generation. And there was a very few undergrads and young undergrads in first and second year. So over the course of this year, it's been a bit of a rebuild for us. So in terms of recruitment and finding people who are sticking around, who are younger and engaged in the team. And so for us, Waterford was a huge learning experience. We wanted to bring a big team of new people and get as many people seat time, riding, and learning. We've been working on our other project, this Falcon aircraft project. And so we haven't done a lot of work on the bikes specifically. So it was a great opportunity to introduce people to racings, to streamliners, to recumbents, and really get them learning and riding together. So that was our really big focus. It was all about building experience and having fun.
Great. And from what I could see, you guys did have a lot of fun and brought plenty of people who were really interested in racing. Let's talk about the bikes that you brought to Waterford. Can you describe what you brought with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually brought 7 bikes. It was the first time we've ever had 7 bikes at Waterford, and first time we've had 3 running streamliners. So super exciting. So our streamliners, Vortex, as many of you may know, a very famous speed bike, holds the record for the most runs at Battle Mountain. It was built in 2011. I think 2011, somewhere around there. So that was we brought that bike. We also brought Tempest, which was built in 2016 by the team, and Cyclone, built in 2017. Cyclone was the one that I refurbished last year to run at World Speed Challenge. So we raced those 3 streamliners, and then we also brought a slew of different recumbent vehicles. So we brought Speed Machine, which is sort of our comfy upright, or our comfy recumbent. Sorry, it's got suspension and it's very comfortable to ride. We brought Baron, which is a bit of a sort of low racer, almost low racer stock bike. And then we brought Vitezza, which is more of a low racer, although we had some technical issues with it. So we were working on it for a lot of the race. And then Bill also brought Zephyr, the upright TT bike that the team built a couple years ago.
Right. I saw Bill riding that a couple of times.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Lincoln, let's start out by talking about the course. So you spent plenty of time on the course over the weekend. Describe it as you rode it, and what did you think of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Waterford's a super fun course, actually. When I was chatting with the team before, I was saying that for car racing, it's less noticeable, the hills and stuff, but for biking, it's super fun to have the variety of terrain. So you're not just on a flat section or compared to the flat tracks that say we practice on. So it's a lot of fun. I can sort of talk through the course a bit if you want. So it starts with a big main straight, and then it has a sort of fun downhill to gain a bit of speed around a corner. and sort of like a low sweeping corner, I like to think of it as. And then you come around the back, and there's a couple sort of back and forths, and then you go up the big hill. It's always a bit of a climb. No matter how many times, how much speed you get at it, every time you come around, you're like, oh, the hill again. But you manage to get up it, and then there's a beautiful downhill, and because of the aerodynamics of our bikes, like they're so smooth coming down that hill that you can go down. You can really coast down that hill and all the way around the back straight with as much power as you feel comfortable putting out. And then it's got a nice tight corner at the back straight you got to be careful of before you sort of whip around and get back onto the main straight again. So it's a really fun course. It's got lots of elevation change, lots of interesting sections, lots of room for passing and close course racing. And I think the team really enjoyed just the variety of terrain. Having that hill is a big challenge, but the coast down is really fun, and it provides a lot of interesting opportunities.
All right, let's get into the events then, Lincoln. I'm not sure how we want to approach this. I think maybe we'll go with highlights as you saw them. I'm going to let you tell the story. So we don't necessarily need to go event by event, but why don't you talk about the highlights for each event that either you were involved in or maybe some of the other team was involved in that you witnessed?
I think for our team this year, a lot of like running the events was a lot of a learning experience. So for a lot of the hour or like time trial races, we would switch in and out of bikes. So for me, it was really cool to see sort of everybody getting a chance to do a couple laps on the track. I think there was a lot of very like aha moments watching like Dennis fly past us and sort of being like, that's sort of what we're reaching for. That's what we're trying to get to for our team and stuff. In terms of moments, I think like the first race is always like a bit of a push to get to for us in terms of getting the bikes out in the morning, getting them ready to go. So it was a bit tough to get ready for that one. But like for the second, the second hour race was great to have. I think we had all 3 bikes on the course several different times, which I think was just an achievement itself for us and our team, because it always seems like there's one bike that has a problem with it. So that was really fun. I don't have like super specific highlights for you, but I think that my biggest highlight was the fact that we brought 14 people to Waterford, only 4 of which had ever been to Waterford before. And 6 of which were second year undergrads and 4 of which were first years. And of those 14 people, 12 rode speed bikes, many of which who'd never ridden on a course before or had never ridden in an event before. So for us, that was the biggest highlight, was just having everybody riding. Anybody who wanted to was able to. And everybody had the skills. We have this rider training program that everyone's been working on over the last couple months to like get hours in the recumbents, get seat time before they go to the streamliners. So that was really fun to see. A variety of different people did the sprint events. We had tons of women racing. It was like one of the first times we've had like strong competitive women racing in 5 or 10 years at Waterford for our team. So it was really awesome to see that back again. It's been a long time coming, and it's so great to see. So, but for me, I don't think my weekend, I wasn't that focused on racing myself, actually. It was mostly about encouraging our other athletes. We have some like really strong young athletes who are still like learning how to ride and stuff. So for me, it was about pushing them and like teaching them. And so I think that was really my focus of the weekend. So I really enjoyed watching a lot of our first years battle it out on the recumbents in the hour race. We had, I think Claire and Ian were battling it out for a lot, just like riding side by side in Baron and Speed Machine. We had Ethan, one of our other riders. He was tracking a lot of his power numbers, trying to get his FTP up, which was great to see. We had Izzy, one of our the first female riders we've had in a long time to compete in like a long distance competition in a streamliner. So that was awesome. And a variety of different other riders. Just getting opportunities to shine. So I think that was really my highlights for me. I really enjoyed the coast down and the hill climb. That was really fun. Cyclone had a better gearing system than Vortex, so we could get a lot faster going up the hill, which provided a great coast down. So I think I got second in the coast down, which was fun.
Lincoln MacDonald, thank you so much for joining us on the Laid Back Bike Report. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so Lincoln's the type of young person I think that we're looking for, not only for racing himself, but encouraging other young folks to get involved. So let's finish up the whole racing portion of the show with another very exciting young racer that Josef had a chance to sit down and talk to a few days ago. The winner of the new 24-hour record, world record with a Velomobile, and it's Ruben Schütze. So Larry, let's take a look at this interview.
Now, folks, here's an exciting story. Some time back, one of the experienced German Velomobile riders, Holger Seidel, accomplished something extraordinary. He crossed Germany from the southernmost point to the northernmost point in record time. And we all followed that. We all were amazed about this marvelous achievement and the great team that was behind it. And then Holger said, well, what next? What else could we do? And he thought of, why don't we try to improve the old 24-hour record by Velomobile, which is held by Christian von Ascheberg, established in 2010, so 13 years back. And he beat the drums, and he got all the attention. He brought an entire team together. They secured the racetrack or test track. It is a test track for the automobile and I think tire industry in Aldenhoven in the west of Germany for the first weekend in July of 2023. So Holger goes there. A couple of other racers go there to beat the old 24-hour Velomobile record. And Holger did indeed go further than the 2010 number, which was 1,219 kilometers. I think he did about 1,230 kilometers. But there was also another guy, Ruben Schütze, you see here in the picture next to me, 26-year-old from Hamburg, Germany. He's riding a Velomobile for 2 years, and I think the Velomobile that he took to Aldenhoven, a Milan SL in a special configuration he will tell us about in a moment, his first Velomobile, he had never had a Velomobile before, and beats the new record Holger Seidel was able to achieve by another 26 kilometers or so. Doing, as it's an unofficial number now, 1,256 kilometers over 24 hours. And he may have also got the new 1,000-kilometer record. We don't know that yet because it's all in the process of being confirmed and evaluated. But for the time being, this young man here, Ruben Schütze, is probably going to be the next world record holder over the 24 hours with a remarkable achievement, pushing the record from 1,219 kilometers to 1,256 kilometers. Ruben, congratulations to this achievement. And we're very happy that you are with us here today to speak about how it went and about your Velomobile and about your impressions from this. And we will do this in German because you're more comfortable expressing yourself in German, which is perfectly fine. And that means, and I tell that to the audience now, that I will now switch into German in part in order to give Ruben the questions. I will give the questions in English and in German, and Ruben will answer in German, and we will later translate it. Also, Ruben, nochmal herzlichen Glückwunsch. Congratulations to this marvelous achievement, and welcome to the Laid Back Bike Report. How do you feel now? Ruben, wie fühlst du dich jetzt, ein paar Tage nach diesem Event?
Also erstmal vielen Dank für die Glückwünsche.
Many thanks for the good wishes and many thanks for the invitation. I'm pleased to be with you. I'm feeling fine. A day after the ride, I felt like stepping into the Milan and taking on another ride. It's a pity that I would probably have to wait until 2025 to do another one of those record runs. In the past, people always thought you needed like 10 years or maybe 20 years of training, of experience in order to build sort of the endurance. But, you did it in no time. Can you tell us a bit more about your previous racing or cycling experience, Ruben?
Ja, sehr gerne. Also ich bin immer schon gerne mit dem Fahrrad gefahren, schon als Kind. Da hatte ich ein Mountainbike. irgendein billiges Mountainbike, bin durch den Wald
I have liked
geklettert.
cycling
Ist aber
since my
ständig kaputt
childhood
gegangen.
days. As a kid,
Aber ich
I
bin beim
bombed down the
Radsport
forest
geblieben und mit
trails
18
on my
Jahren
cheap
habe ich mein
mountain
erstes
bike,
Rennrad
always
gekauft,
facing
was man im
mechanical
Hintergrund auch
issues.
sehen kann. Ein
Then,
altes Peugeot
at age
Stahl
18,
Rennrad von
I bought my first road
1986
bike, which is
mit
hanging up on the wall
Rahmenschaltung.
behind me. An old
Und
Peugeot
ja,
road
damit bin ich
bike,
dann
steel
schon ein
from
bisschen schneller
1986,
gefahren.
with
Auch bei den
shifters on the
Classics bin
frame.
ich ein paar Mal
On that
mitgefahren.
bike, I was somewhat faster
Und
and
irgendwann habe
participated
ich
in
mal ein
races.
Velomobil
I
gesehen.
did the
Auf der
Cyclassics in
Straße,
Hamburg
auf
a
der
few
Landstraße
times.
mit
Then
mindestens 50
someday,
Sachen.
I saw a
Und das ist bei
Velomobile
mir so hängen
out on
geblieben.
the roads,
Ich habe mich immer
probably
mal
cruising at
damit
50
beschäftigt,
kilometers an
all die
hour,
Jahre.
and that stuck with me
Und
over the following years.
irgendwann war der Moment so,
Until one
ich fahre
day I
das
said
jetzt
to
Probe,
myself,
ich mache das,
I
ich will
want
das.
this,
Und
and I want to
Wochen
take a test ride
später
in
hatte
one.
ich dann auch schon meinen
A few
eigenen
weeks
Milan.
later, I had my
Also
own
ja,
Milan.
ich habe einen
Since
Milan
then,
SL
I'm riding a
MK7
Milan SL Mark
und das ist
7,
jetzt auch mal
okay,
noch mein
and that's
Velomobil.
still the Velomobile I'm riding. You have put up on the internet on YouTube a short video about the modifications that you did for your Milan. We will link to that video. It has comments in German, but please describe in brief for us what changes did you make to that Milan SL to make it a world record capable?
Ja, also da gibt's
There's a
Menge,
lot that I
was ich
changed.
gemacht habe. Angefangen mit
First,
meiner
the
genialen
race hood,
Rennhaube, die ich von
which I
Niklas
received
Bostelmann
from Niklas
bekommen habe.
Bostelmann, a
Die
better
ist
version
einfach
than
nochmal
the
etwas
Battle Mount
aerodynamischer
hood
als die Battle
because it has a
Mountain Haube.
special visor, which
Die
could
hat
be
eine
opened from the
Visiermechanik, man kann
inside.
das Visier von innen
The
aufklappen.
Nackerduct on that hood works
Und das
better.
Nackerduct funktioniert auch
I
besser. Ich
also
habe
have a
einen
GPS
GPS-Ausschnitt in
cutout
dieser
in the hood,
Haube, also bekomme
giving me
besseren
better
Empfang, was
reception.
vorher immer eine Schwierigkeit war. Ich habe alles Mögliche
I've
eingelegt,
taped many parts of the
vorne, die
shell,
Lampe,
like the
die habe ich
headlight
erstmal ein Stück
opening,
nach
needed
hinten
to
gesetzt,
mount the
damit ich
headlight a
das
bit
bündig
further
abkleben
back
konnte.
first to get
Ich habe
the
die Radausschnitte
fully even surface.
ja, maximal
I've taped the wheel
geklebt.
cutouts
Ich
as far
habe
as
vorne
possible.
Radscheiben bekommen
Daniel
von
Löw
Daniel
gave
Löw.
me wheel covers
Hinten
outside and
einen
inside for the
Turbolator,
front
also
wheels.
eine äußere
For the
Abdeckung,
rear
keine
wheel, I have
innere,
a
weil mein
so-called
Milan ist ja
turbolator,
gefedert.
an outer wheel cover
Vorne
because
hatte
the
ich
Milan
Shimano
has
Pro
rear
und
suspension.
TT mit
Regarding tires,
Latex-Schläuchen
I was
und
running Schwalbe
hinten
Pro One
Vittoria
TT with
Corsa
latex
Speed
tubes.
tubeless.
On the rear, a
Die
Vittoria Corsa Speed tubeless.
Seitenspiegel habe ich abgebaut. Ich habe zwar so schöne Birkspiegel, aber keine Spiegel sind würde da einfach mal besser.
I took
Dafür
off
habe ich
the
dann
nice
eine
Birk
Heckkamera.
rear-view mirrors
Ja,
because no
dafür
mirrors
habe
are
ich aber mal
better.
eine Heckkamera bekommen,
Instead,
also einen
I
elektronischen
used a
Rückspiegel,
rear-view
weil ich
camera
mich einfach damit
because I felt
sicherer
more
fühlte.
secure
Also ich
being
wollte immer
able
nach
to
hinten
see what's
schauen,
going
wissen, was
on
los
behind
ist.
me.
Gut,
Well,
so viele haben mich da
I
nicht überholt, aber
wasn't past
trotzdem.
much during the record run, but still. What else?
Was hatte ich noch? Er wurde tiefer gelegt
The Milan's clearing
und
was
auch
lowered
härter.
and
Also ich habe
made
die
stiffer
roten
using
Federn
the short
bekommen,
red
kurze
springs.
rote Federn.
And
Meine Liste.
I got
Ich
a
habe noch
front service hatch also
ein
from Daniel Löw
Service-Deckel
with
vorne
another
bekommen, mit einem
Nackerduct
Nackerduct,
in it,
was jetzt
which
auch
you also couldn't get as
was man
standard.
jetzt auch serienmäßig nicht so, was auch serienmäßig nicht erhältlich ist.
What gearing did you use for this, Ruben? Well, my front chain wheel is a 70T. On the rear, I used a 11-speed cassette, 11 to 40, which is also what I use for. How do you train for an event like this? How did you train?
Ja, also ich hatte keinen Trainer, ich hatte auch keinen Trainingsplan.
Okay, I had no trainer. I had no training plan. I just rode a lot.
Gefahren.
For example, I did a lot of riding on Swift with my road bike.
Bin ich 6-mal die Woche
At times, I rode 6 days a week.
I
I also did more base endurance rides, which isn't my specialty, really. Can you describe the race course for us? You know, you're sitting there hour by hour on that oval track. What is it like?
Genau, das ist ja ein Testoval,
that's a course
was 2
of
Kilometer lang ist,
2 kilometers long with perfectly smooth tarmac and bank curves. Wonderful to ride there. You could do things on this course you couldn't do anywhere else. You can't do on any road. For example, the rear wheel cover, the turbolator, it's so close to the ground that you could barely get a finger between the road and the cover. Impossible to use on normal roads.
Und du kannst auch die Kurven
And you could take curves at full speed.
Ja, also
yes,
ich bin
yes, I could, and I did. The last lap, the rollout, with speeds beyond 70 kilometers an hour on the outside track. And that was just great. These curves are long and gentle, so they hardly slow you down. How's that possible over 24 hours?
Über 24 Stunden?
Did you get really tired at some point?
Ja, Müdigkeit war für mich auch ein Problem.
Yes, fatigue really was a problem for me.
Am frühen Morgen, so
Late at night,
4, 5,
in the
6
early morning
Uhr,
hours,
das
4,
war eine
5,
sehr
6
schwierige Zeit für
a.m.
mich. Ich
That
habe
was
zwar auch
really a hard
Koffein
time for
regelmäßig
me.
zu mir genommen, auch erst
I
nachts
did
natürlich
take
und dann in
caffeine
meinen
during the night
200
regularly,
Milligramm
those
Dosen, auch immer
200
dann alle paar
milligram
Stunden
shots,
nur.
one every few
Aber auch
hours,
dann, also
but
die Augen
still,
sind irgendwann
the eyelids
erschöpft.
got
Ich musste
really,
richtig
really
dagegen
heavy.
ankämpfen,
So
dass
I
meine
began
Augen
to
nicht
sing, to
zufallen. Ich habe
yell,
gesungen,
banging on
gelacht,
the shell of the
geschrien, gegen die
Velomobile,
Milan
slapping my
getrommelt,
face,
gegen mein
laughing.
Gesicht getrommelt.
At some point,
Aber
I
irgendwann
just
musste
had
ich
to
dann auch mal
stop
anhalten und
and
5
close
Minuten
my eyes
einfach nur
for
meine
just
Augen
5
mal
minutes.
zumachen. Ich hatte auch
And
ein
there, I
richtig
have to
tolles
say, I
Team,
had the
das habe ich
great
jetzt noch gar
support
nicht
of a
gesagt,
wonderful
die
team at this
sich richtig toll
moment.
mich gekümmert haben.
They
Die haben
just
dann
put
auch
a
Anzug
towel
aufgelegt
over the
auf die
race
Haube,
hood,
aufs Visier.
so
Es
it
war
was
kurz
really dark
dunkel. Und
inside.
diese 5
And these
Minuten
5
einfach
minutes
nur
in
die
the
Augen
dark,
zumachen,
my eyes shut,
das hat schon
that
dann
did
auch sehr
it.
viel geholfen. Dann
I
konnte ich
could
wieder
ride
fahren,
on
ohne
without
dass meine
falling
Augen
asleep.
zufallen. Genau, wir standen
My
auch
team and
ständig
I, we were in constant
Funkkontakt. Das habe
contact.
ich über
I
mein
used
Handy
my
gemacht.
mobile for
Das
this,
hatte ich am Tiller befestigt.
which was
Und ich
mounted
habe
on the
dann
tiller.
immer
So I
Sprachnachrichten
flooded
geschickt,
the
wie es mir
team with
geht,
voice
mal
message
kurz
on how I
Updates
felt. I
rausgehauen
gave them status
und habe
updates.
dann auch gesagt,
And I
dass ich noch
told them
Pausen
what I would
brauche.
need
Ich
at the
habe alle
next
300
stop.
Kilometer
I
ungefähr eine
stopped
Pause
every
gemacht.
300
Bis
kilometers
900, dann
until
war
the
es dann
900
häufiger.
kilometer mark.
Ich habe gesagt,
Then
so,
the
mein
intervals
Trinken ist dann
became
leer, das musst du
shorter,
nachfüllen.
unfortunately.
Ich
Like I
brauche
said,
neue
I'm running low on
Socken
water,
und so
or I
weiter.
need
Und
new
dann wurde das
socks.
alles
And
dann auch
they would have
gebracht
everything ready at the
und
next pit
umgesetzt.
stop.
Can you describe how you fed yourself and how do you refueled during the race?
Ja, also im Prinzip war das sehr minimalistisch. Also
Well,
ich hatte
my
jetzt gar nicht so
nutrition
eine
was
große
pretty
Vielfalt oder
minimalistic.
riesige Massen
I
an
didn't
Essen
have that
dabei, obwohl
much
ich
or
mehrere
that
tausend
diverse
Kalorien
food
verbrannt
on
habe.
board,
In erster Linie habe
even
ich das
though I
alles durchs
burned so
Trinken
many
aufgenommen. Ich hatte,
calories.
wie du sagst, so einen
Mostly I
5 Liter
fed myself by
Kanister mit
drinking.
einem
I
Schlauch,
had a 5
der
liter
hinten im
water
Heck drin
reservoir
war.
stowed in the
Und in
rear
diesen
I
5
could drink from.
Litern war so
Water
400
mixed with
Gramm
400 grams
Isopulver
of
immer mit drin.
isotonic powder,
Und ich habe so
and I
circa
consumed
20 Liter
about
davon
20 liters
getrunken.
of that mixture
Also
over the
schon eine
24
Menge. Und
hours.
ich hatte dann noch
In
eine
addition, I
Tupperdose
had a
mit
box
Haferriegeln,
with oat bars I had
die ich
baked
dann selbst
myself,
gebacken habe.
about half a kilogram, which I also ate during
Also
the
das war
race.
ungefähr ein halbes Kilo von diesen Haferriegeln, die ich dann auch noch gegessen habe.
Did the Milan fulfill all your expectations?
Oh, it
Auf jeden
definitely
Fall.
did.
Ich konnte
Even
ja
though
mein
I couldn't
ganzes
test the
Rennsetup,
entire
das ich
setup
für Milan gefahren bin,
beforehand,
im Vorfeld ja
couldn't
nicht mal
test the
testen.
turbolator, for
Also weil
example,
der
on
Rekord
normal
war,
roads
das war das
anyway.
erste Mal, dass ich dann
So
das
the Milan only
Gesamtpaket
got
testen
ready
konnte.
the day before the start.
Mit dem Turbolator auf der Straße fahren ist ja auch schwierig und das ist auch alles erst einen Tag zuvor fertig geworden.
In the beginning, you mentioned that now you would have to wait until 2025 for the next big event to come around. What are your plans for the upcoming future?
Also auch wenn ich
Well, now, even though I hold the 24-hour record, I believe that more is definitely possible.
Okay.
The weather was not perfect. It was windy and raining, and I myself could become stronger. Currently, my FTP is around 300 watts in the recline position, a bit higher on the road bike, so there's room for improvement. I could use a better structured training schedule, maybe work with a coach. And I may have another trump card up my sleeve. My name is Ruben Schütze. My initials are RS, and there is a Velomobile RS version built by Niklas Bostelmann.
Niklas baut.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I see something in the air there. So we will probably hear from you again. There's one question that I would have liked to have raised earlier, but let me add it now at the end of our interview. How do you feel about doing this on the track with other racers? Because you were not alone racing against the clock, but there was also Holger. So you continuously, either you pacing him or he pacing you. Did that help you? Was that an advantage or was that a distraction?
It was really motivating for me not to be alone on the track. I don't know if I would have succeeded had I been alone over all those hours. In particular with Holger, it was truly uplifting. At times he would pass me, then I would pass him. That was great. Not to be there on my own. And also to see the headlights and taillights of the others waving at each other or honking on the path.
Let me thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us, for sharing your views and insights and experiences with the many viewers of the Laid Back Bike Report around the world. We really appreciate your taking the time, and we wish you luck and much success in whatever endeavor you set your eyes on next.
Es war mir eine Ehre, dass ich
It was a real pleasure for me to be
der Blut
here
hat
with
mir
you,
sehr viel Spaß gebracht.
and it has been a lot of fun.
Vielen Dank.
Thank you very much.
Wow. What a great interview, Josef. Thank you so much for helping us out with the translation. Guys, a couple things here. So Ruben is actually on the live chat. If you want to ask him a question or whatever, he is on the YouTube live chat as Ruby Fusilero. So just in case you didn't know who that was, and he's been participating in a lively discussion already. Josef, what I want to ask a couple of things of you, and then we'll move along. But what was your impression of Ruben? What did you think?
Well, Gary, I have to say I'm totally amazed, by these young guys. I honestly, I believe that this is something that you don't do at younger ages. You need to be mature in order to just sustain the effort of doing something for 24 hours, because that's really hard. And so, it's I'm almost speechless. To see him he has a very positive attitude. He's a very nice guy, and Nicholas Bostelman apparently is also another one of that breed. Young people taken to the sport, enjoying velomobiles, and have an absolutely positive and attractive outreach. You look at them and say, yes, these are the guys we need more to make this sport even more popular.
Absolutely. Well, I want to just finish up with you because it has gone unmentioned, but I happen to know we're not talking about a young guy anymore, but we're talking about a fellow who might be working on a Paris-Brest run here coming up next month. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, yes, I happen to know that. Actually, I'm part of a big crowd. So I will be doing my first Paris-Brest run on this coming August. After accidentally I happened to qualify, which I could never do before, because as long as I was still full-time working, I wanted to spend my weekends at home. And all the qualification brevets, they are all done on the weekend. So this is my first chance now. And maybe my last also, but I'm pleased to see that a couple of my good riding buddies, a couple of velomobile riders, I think from Germany, we're about 15 or so, we'll be participating there, and that should be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And what are you going to be doing the Paris-Brest Paris in, your M9?
M9, yes. That's going to be the machine.
All right. And Alexei, our Ukrainian friend who's currently in Ireland, is hoping for more news, more exciting news for velomobile, both racing and use in general, everyday use. So, all right, Josef, thank you so much again for what you did on this show, and we'll be looking at the racing that you're going to be coming up with. I'm sure we'll hear more from you by then.
Okay.
Okay, Josef. All right. So we're going to finish up today with a little update on CycleCon coming up in September of this year. Had a chance to talk briefly with the man in charge, Marshall Randall. You've seen him before on the show. Larry, let's hear what Marshall had to say. All right, guys. We're here with Marshall Randall, a guy who has many talents that we've talked about before today in his capacity as one of the producers of the CycleCon show 2023. That's why he's here. We're going to talk all about the upcoming show. And Marshall, welcome to the Laid Back Bike Report.
Thanks, Gary. Glad to be here.
All right, so let's jump right into it. First of all, let's do the when and the where. There have been some changes to both of those things for CycleCon 2023. Tell us about it.
Fantastic. Yeah, so this year, we're going to be at the Greene County Fairgrounds just outside Xenia, Ohio. This year, the event itself is September 15th through the 17th. The 15th is a day that's just for the dealers and the exhibitors. But then the 16th and 17th, it's open to everyone. So, yeah, it's a great location. For those that don't know, Xenia is kind of a hub of a network of trails throughout Ohio. There are just, to say there's hundreds of miles that you can ride from outside of Xenia, would be an understatement. So it's a great location, be a great place to just, not just be there for CycleCon, but spend the week and go riding.
Let's talk about what happens for our viewers when they attend CycleCon this year. You've got lots of plans. This is your first full year of planning. Last year, you kind of took it over with just a few months in which to do that planning. So how about this year? What have you got lined up this year?
Wow, where do I even start? Let's talk about who we've got so far signed up. I think everybody would be kind of curious, to know who they could expect to see there. So what we know right now, and we've still got some people that have made verbal commitments, but those that are just locked in, we've got ICE, we've got Bichetta returning. So for people that are looking for two-wheel recumbents, that's going to be really neat. AZUB is going to be there. Draftmaster with their transportation rack. So if you need to put your recumbent on the outside of your vehicle, they've got great solutions for that. Stein Trikes is returning. HP Velotechnik, Sunseeker, Abus, which has locks and helmets, they're going to be returning. TerraCycle, or T-Cycle as some people know them by, Trident, Bosch, Cat Trike even. I've had some great conversations with those folks, and they've said they're going to be there. So we've got a great group of people that are just locked in, ready to go. And then we've got some others that have verbally committed. One of the more unique ones is we've got a rather large bicycle accessory distributor that's committed to show up. And then, of course, Bosch is going to be returning after sitting out for a couple of years. So what a great lineup we have with exhibitors that are going to be there.
Sounds really good. Now, something that visitors to CycleCon are always interested in, and that's hopping on one of the bikes or trikes and checking it out in person on some sort of test track. So last year, people really liked what you put together. So how is the test track at the fairgrounds going to be put together?
Yeah, at first I thought last year went so well, and so many great comments about having the expanded test track. Nothing but positive feedback. So it was like, really, how do we make it better? And so some of that was, how to incorporate some other, unique features, if you will, into the test track. It's going to be absolutely as big as last year and just as accessible. Probably some longer straightaways. There'll still be the gravel option. And this year we hope to incorporate maybe some more slower speed turns and stuff, so you can really get a good feel for that trike that you're out there demoing. So looking to create something that gives people the most opportunities for what they would experience when they're out normally riding. And one of the unique things about the fairgrounds is they've just opened up the whole fairgrounds for us to use, and it is a large facility. So lots of opportunities for those that are wondering, what happens when it rains. We have access to they have several there, but it's just a huge, huge building, if you will, that we could actually host demo rides inside that facility. So a lot of unique opportunities with the Greene County Fairgrounds.
Sounds good. Now, how about the talks that you will be setting up this year? What can you tell us about the seminars? We had some really interesting ones last year.
Yeah, again, just really trying to find those ways, Gary, that we can expand on what we did last year. So have a lot of unique people lined up this year. We'll have some of the exhibitors doing a talk, not necessarily on their specific products, but just what's needed to have a better experience on your recumbent. So expect to see some vendor talks. Expect to hear from some people that are maybe a little bit more on that competitive side, looking to go fast. So that'll have its seminar. But one that I'm really, really kind of excited about is our CEO, Mark Cruz here at Whiz Wheels, is pulling together a collection of videos to make a kind of like a feature film, if you will, kind of a film festival type of feel to it. To really get people immersed, if you will, into all the different aspects of riding a recumbent. And I'm really excited about that to see how that turns out, because I think actually that'll end up being one of the highlights and something that we'll probably, show that video a couple of different times during the exhibit days, during the expo days.
That sounds really interesting. All right. How about, I know you're working on some raffles and prizes and stuff. Anything you can say about those yet?
Yeah, for sure. So, right out of the gate, one of the coolest ones is HP Velotechnik is going to put a Gecko 26 performance trike up for raffle. And we've got a real unique plan. I won't get into it. I want it to kind of be a little bit of surprise, but people are going to have to demo trikes in order to get in the drawing for this trike. And that's going to be, kind of the highlight of the raffles. From there, there's a lot of other people that are just now stepping up to that plate with products to raffle off, but probably won't have as many raffles as we had last year, but there'll be more meaningful ones. I'll just say that. They're going to be ones people aren't going to want to miss.
You're thinking of doing some organized rides as well. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, man, thanks for asking about that. Yeah, that's going to be kind of a highlight of the expo, in my opinion. So there's going to be 2 organized rides. One will be Saturday after the expo closes, and the other one will be Sunday morning before the show opens. There'll be varying links that people can ride. We're working with 2 local shops to have rental trikes in case people can't bring their own ride with them. Some of the exhibitors may have, that's a big may have demo trikes available for those rides. People will need to, follow our Facebook page and website to see about those opportunities as they develop. But one of the cool things about this is they're going to be led by some of the exhibitors. Like I can tell you right now, Honza's already, put his hand up, and I think he's going to lead the Saturday ride. So, that's just going to be really neat to be able to get out with the exhibitors and ride with them and maybe ask questions and have it led by, real experts. That's going to be neat. That's going to be a big plus.
Tell us about the website, and I assume that is how they get tickets. And tell us how much they're going to cost.
Absolutely, yeah. So, it's just cyclecon.com, and you'll be right on an Eventbrite website, and you can register there, which we encourage everybody to do. That'll really streamline your process of getting into the expo floor. And, of course, the neat thing about CycleCon is it's free, 100% free. So
that's my favorite price, actually, Marshall.
Yeah. We want to encourage everybody to come. So, what a great deal. It's free. You can demo. You can talk to, exhibitors, to the manufacturers, and you can even get out and ride with them. So, yeah, how cool is that?
Well, Marshall, thanks for taking a little time out of your, I know, very busy schedule right now, getting everything set and ready to go for September. And we look forward to CycleCon, as we always do. We look forward to seeing you there. Good luck on this, pal. We'll see you then.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
All right. That's not the last you're going to hear about CycleCon this year, of course. We're going to keep up with that. But for now, we're going to move on to a quick viewer submission. Just wanted to kind of give a shout out to my buddy Barney Harl, who, he posted a couple of pictures, Trey, on Facebook. Barney was busy this last month as well. He was at Aldenhoven, in Germany for those races with Russell Bridge, who was kind of testing out his 77 a bit, and although I don't think he competed. And of course, Barney also is involved with the Icarus Cup, where you have that human-powered flight. Lincoln talked about that a bit with the University of Toronto. So the Icarus Cup is what everybody shoots for there. It's in the UK. Really cool stuff. And thanks for popping those hats out and taking pictures, Barney. We'll be hearing from Barney maybe more on what he saw there in a future Laid Back Bike report. All right, guys. So just as a reminder, if you have something you want to share with us, send them into our viewer submissions. You can do it at laidbackbikereport@gmail.com. All right, let's thank our wonderful sponsors who make all of this possible. We're going to start out with TerraCycle. Are you tired of feeling like your bent was made for someone else? TerraCycle's handlebars and stems allow you to customize your ride so you feel like the superstar you are, even if you ride like a turtle. And Trailside Trikes. If you find yourself in Florida near the Withlacoochee Trail or in Knoxville, Tennessee, check out Andrew's shop and amazing crew. And TerraTrike and Greenspeed Trikes. Your vision, whatever it is, TerraTrike has a trike to take you there. And Greenspeed cutting-edge designs create performance through Aussie ingenuity. And Laid Back Cycles, the top USA dealer for TerraTrike and the premier source for Catrike, Ice, and Greenspeed. We give you the freedom to ride. And Avenue Trikes. With the gearing you need and the comfort you want, it's time to enjoy riding again. They're in stock, they're ready to ship, and they're only $19.95. Dealer inquiries are welcome. And AZUB. If you've decided to get that new recumbent bike or trike, the time is now. You don't have to wait weeks for a quality bike that's customized to your needs. AZUB has a selection of its best-selling models and configurations in stock. Head over to azub.eu and simply choose the model you want, add your preferred accessories, and your bike or trike will be at your dealer in just a few days. And Recumbent PDX, Catrike's West Coast Megastore. Schedule your test ride on trikes with pedal assist electric from both Bosch and Bafang, roll-off and Schlump component groups, and adaptive builds. Experience the joy of Catrike. And EcoCycles. Adding e-assist to your bent can be a daunting task. With total focus on customer service, the experts at EcoCycles make this upgrade simple and worry-free. Check out EcoCycles today. All right, guys, the next Laid Back Bike Report, August 6th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So join us for our next show then. Now, how can you support the Laid Back Bike Report? Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, click that little white eye to go to our website, and of course, hop on patreon.com and see if you wouldn't mind being one of our Patreons there for as little as $1 a month. It really would help us out. All right, let's see here. That's going to be about it. Larry, bring everybody that's left up here. I think Joseph had to leave. It's getting late there in Germany.
Yep.
And I know Honza is pretty well exhausted from this day. Honza, thanks so much for all that you do. It's a great report, and it was great joining you in the Czech Republic as always. It's good to see you. Get some rest.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.
All right, and Trey and Larry, thanks, guys. Great job. Lots of media to handle today, guys. Lots of switching, so really appreciate that. So thanks to those guys, and I want to thank all of you viewers, especially for watching us every month. We really appreciate that. So from all of us here at the Laid Back Bike Report, until our next webcast, so long, Bent Riders.